Look, stop buying garbage plastic springers just because they're sitting on the bottom shelf of your local big box store. Honestly, it is costing you accuracy, and worse, it is costing you clean takedowns in the field. You think you need to drop $1,200 on a complicated high-end pneumatic rig just to keep the local pest population in check? You do not. The brake barrel market has entirely changed for 2026. We are talking regulated gas pistons. We are talking multi-shot repeaters under $200. We are looking at the top 5 budget brake barrels that actually perform when the pressure is on. No fluff, no paid endorsements, just the cold truth. Moving on to number 5, we have the Ruger Airhawk, priced right around $130. This is a traditionalist dream machine. It throws .177 caliber lead downrange at a blistering 1,200 feet per second if you're using alloy, though I always recommend sticking to heavy lead to keep it subsonic. The black synthetic stock handles the elements perfectly, and it features an 18.7-inch rifled steel barrel that delivers groups so tight they will make your jaw drop at 50 yards. Let us talk about the trigger and the firing cycle. The trigger snaps with a surprising crispness, breaking right at a remarkably light 3.3 pounds. When you touch it off, the firing sound is a sharp metallic crack, like a framing hammer hitting an anvil. That is the sound of the massive steel spring uncoiling and slamming the piston forward. Here is the mechanic's insight you need to know. You must understand bi-directional recoil harmonics. Unlike a standard centerfire rifle that just pushes back into your shoulder, the Airhawk has a violent two-way snap. First, it pushes back when the main spring releases, and then it aggressively snaps forward when the piston hits the cushion of compressed air at the end of the cylinder. That secondary forward jolt is brutal on internal components, which brings us to the deal breaker. The included 4x32 optic is absolute trash. The bi-directional recoil I just mentioned will completely destroy the erector tube inside that cheap scope within your first tin of pellets. You will be forced to spend extra money on an Airgun rated optic with an etched glass reticle, so factor that into your budget right out of the gate. This is a solid plinker and small game getter, but wait until you see the absolute variable pressure monster sitting at number 1. Stepping up the power, we arrive at number 4. The Gamo Swarm Whisper, coming in at around $160. This rig brings the highly requested multi-shot capability to the budget sector. You can get it in 177 or 22, and the internal IGT gas piston is pushing those pellets at a blistering 1,300 feet per second, generating a very respectable 17.8 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. Here is your mechanic's insight. Gamo uses a horizontal 10-shot rotary magazine system. The genius here is the mechanical linkage. When you break the barrel downward, a physical arm engages the cassette, rotates the cylinder exactly 1 chamber, and aligns a fragile lead pellet perfectly with the breech. Because the magazine lays flat against the receiver, it does not obscure your natural line of sight, letting you maintain a seamless cheek weld for rapid follow-up shots without looking up. Let us talk about the tactile feedback. The 2-stage adjustable trigger breaks like a thin glass rod snapping under your finger at roughly 3.5 pounds. The firing sound is drastically reduced by that polymer-jacketed barrel. Instead of a loud crack, it produces a muffled, heavy thud, almost like a thick phone book dropping onto a carpeted floor. But we have to look at the deal breaker, which falls right into the ergonomics category. Breaking this barrel requires 30 pounds of physical force. That might not sound like a lot for the first 10 shots, but after a long afternoon of pest control or target practice, that cocking cycle becomes an absolute shoulder burner. If you have younger shooters or just want a relaxing plinking session, that heavy mechanical resistance is going to wear you down fast. Entering the elite tier at number 3 is the Hatsan Zada, priced right around 143 bucks. This Turkish-built powerhouse flips the script by offering a 25 cal option. That is an absolute rarity in the sub $150 bracket. Pushing a heavy 20 to 26 grain slug, this dual spring and gas piston compatible rig cranks out a massive 24 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. It is an absolute sledgehammer for agricultural pest control. The firing cycle feels incredibly visceral. The trigger brake is crisp enough, snapping like a frozen twig under your boot. But the real magic is the sound. Thanks to the integrated suppressor, the discharge is a deep, muted thwack, like hitting a heavy punching bag with a baseball bat, completely hiding the massive power being unleashed from the cylinder. Here is the mechanic's insight. Hatsan utilizes their proprietary quiet energy barrel technology. Instead of just slapping a muzzle brake on the end, the German-engineered rifled steel barrel is fully wrapped in a synthetic shroud that extends well past the muzzle. Inside that expansion chamber is a series of baffles. These baffles physically strip the turbulent high-pressure air away from the pellet as it exits, slowing the gas expansion down and massively reducing the acoustic signature. Now for the deal breaker, which falls into the aesthetics and build category. While the tactical synthetic stock feels solid with its rubber recoil pad, the bundled Optima 4x32 scope is built with extremely soft glass and a painfully narrow eye relief. It is a severe bottleneck on the mechanical accuracy of the rifle. You are going to struggle to see clearly past 50 yards unless you ditch it and mount a proper traditional optic. Closer to the crown. At number 2, we have the Umarex Airguns, setting you back about 150 bucks. This 10-shot repeater throws 22 caliber lead at a consistent 1,000 feet per second or 1,200 feet per second in 177. The extra long 20.75-inch barrel serves a critical dual purpose, giving the nitrogen gas ram maximum expansion time while acting as a massive physical lever to ease your cocking effort. The trigger breaks cleanly, snapping like a crisp, dry carrot under your index finger. When it goes off, the report sounds like a heavy industrial staple gun driving into thick pine. It is a solid, confident sound without the annoying spring twang you get from older models. Here is the mechanic's insight. Let us talk about the Nucleus Picatinny rail system. Most cheap brake barrels rely on a friction-based 11mm dovetail mount. Because of the violent two-way recoil we discussed earlier, dovetails suffer from severe scope creep, where the optic physically slides backward shot after shot. The cross-slot design of the true Picatinny rail on the Airhawk completely locks your scope rings in place, eliminating zero shift permanently. Now for the deal breaker, diving into an ammunition performance quirk. This specific gas piston produces so much raw velocity that it absolutely hates lightweight pellets. If you feed it cheap, light ammo, the projectiles will break the sound barrier, destabilize in flight, and shotgun all over your target. You are forced to buy and shoot premium heavy lead to keep the velocity subsonic and maintain tight groups. We have set the stakes. We have looked at rifles that offer heavy kinetic energy, and we have seen rigs that bring reliable multi-shot capability. But historically, if you wanted to change the power output of your airgun to match different shooting scenarios, you had to drop over $1,000 on a complex pre-charged pneumatic. Not anymore. Coming in at number 1 is the undisputed king of the 2026 budget sector, the Venturi Omnistorm. Priced just under $200, this rifle completely shatters what we thought was possible in a sub-$200 brake barrel platform. It gives you the devastating knockdown power of the Hatsan Zada when you need it for heavy pest control, but with an adjustable system that completely puts the fixed 30-pound cocking effort of the Gamo Swarm Whisper to shame. Here is the mechanic's insight that changes everything. The Omnistorm uses a patent-pending omni-piston system. Instead of a factory-sealed gas ram, this is an externally adjustable nitrogen piston. Using the included Omni-Tuner hand pump, you can actually add or bleed pressure from the strut itself, anywhere from 205 pounds per square inch up to a maximum of 550 pounds per square inch. You can dial it down to a 25-pound cocking effort for all-day target practice, or crank it to the max to push .22 caliber lead at 850 feet per second, generating 19.1 foot-pounds of energy. It is absolute variable power in a brake barrel platform. The two-stage trigger breaks like a brittle sheet of ice giving way underfoot. On maximum pressure, the firing sound is a sharp, authoritative whip crack that echoes across the field, letting you know serious power just left the muzzle. With a weight of just 6.75 pounds, it handles like an absolute dream in the field. So there you have it, the top 5 budget brake barrels of 2026 that actually deliver when you pull the trigger. We have covered the rigs that give you serious knockdown power, the multi-shot repeaters that keep your eye behind the glass, and the variable pressure systems that are changing the game entirely. Look, the days of accepting horrible spring twang and garbage accuracy just because you're trying to save a few bucks are officially over. Whether you are clearing out agricultural pests or just putting lead on steel in the field, you have zero excuses left. Ditch the cheap factory scopes, get yourself some heavy lead to keep those velocities subsonic, and put in the range time to learn your weapon. If you want the raw truth without the marketing fluff, lock it in right here.